your
We can
side.
double our sales with 5 basic tonalities. We're going to talk about the techniques. Where do we use them in the sales process? The sequence of them, and also what to do when things go wrong. Because tonality, it can be a controversial subject where a lot of people say, oh, tonality doesn't matter at all. Yeah, I mean, try to use certain tonalities with your boyfriend or your girlfriend and let me know how that works for you. Listen, it's not just about what we're saying, it's how we're saying it. And I don't care if you're in a sales environment, you get stuck in a traffic light and you yell something to the driver in front of you. How you're going to say what you're going to say matters. So we want to make sure that we're strategic with our tonality if we want people to behave how we want them to behave. So let's start discussing about the 3 levels of tonality in terms of how we can modulate our voice to build rapport. So there are 3 levels of rapport and 3 levels of different tonalities. So there is the upward inflecting tonality, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. But when I'm using the upward inflecting tonality, let me give you an example. A lot of people make this mistake and they start the calls this way. Hey, Chris, it's great to see you here today. How are things in your neck of the woods? So this is upward inflecting tonality. I'm very excited and I'm ending my sentences with an upward inflection. How are you today? Can you see how it works? So it's upward inflecting. It has an upward inflection at the end. That's an upward inflection. When I'm using upward inflection, I'm seeking rapport. I'm being needy. I'm projecting insecurity. I'm trying to get people to like me. And that's why I should never use this tonality. There's no use in a sales conversation to use upward inflecting tonalities. Again, it projects insecurity and it shows neediness, that I need you to like me. The more neutral level is what we call the equal inflecting tonality. The equal inflecting tonality is something like this. Hey, Chris, good to see you here today. How can I help? So there's no upward or downward inflection. It's very equal. How can I help? I don't change my tonality. It stays the same all across the sentence. This is what we call neutral rapport. And this is a good place to be. We're remaining neutral. We're not talking down to people, but we're not talking up as well. We're talking to each other as equals. I don't need anything from you, and you don't need anything from me. So it's a very respectful tone to adopt. Again, neutral rapport, equal inflecting tonality. An example is, hey, Chris, good to see you here today. How can I help? An upward inflecting tonality, it would be, how can I help? Very upward inflecting, right? Projecting neediness. Just you hearing me do it, you're probably feeling kind of weird. And that's your subconscious getting triggered, right? Fight or flight mode. Like, why is this guy so excited? The 3rd level of rapport is the downward inflecting tonality. And this is where we end our sentences in a downward tone. And an example be, hey, Chris, good to see you here. How can I help you? So this is breaking rapport. This is acting as if we are of higher status. And what we're projecting is, really, you're not worth my time. Some sales trainers preach to use that model, but it's very, for me, disrespectful towards someone. And it only works when you're of a higher status than the prospect. Like if you're a sales professional, an expert, and they desperately need your help, you could use your tonality. I'm not a fan of it at all. Like I have to put it out there. I stay away from upward inflecting tonality that projects neediness, and also downward inflecting tonality that's positions you as, again, you're a demigod and you're talking to peasants, right? For me, it's not the way to do things. We like to keep it neutral, equal inflecting tonality. So this is how we modulate our voice. But let's talk about the tonality that we use and the 5 different ones throughout the call. And if you have any questions, drop them as I go through them. Richard, I just saw you
Yeah,
raise.
just what's the difference between a neutral and being monotoned? So, be monotoned.
Monotoned is that I don't modulate in between the sentences. So I don't speed things up or slow it down. So being monotone would be, hey, Richard, good to see you here today. How can I help you? So it's very flat. There's no variance in my sentence. The neutral tonality with a natural, tone. Hey, Richard, good to see you here. Like, how can I help? Like, I'm pausing in between sentences. It's natural, the way that we would talk to each other, right? I'm not making it weird.
Yeah.
The robotic typically happens and the monotone when I'm reading off a script. Hey, Richard, it's good to see you here. How can I help?
Yeah.
People do it when they have a question in front of them and they're just reading it off to the other person. And that's where we trigger resistance. But let's look at the 5 different tonalities. So we start with what I call the stoic tonality. So this is a tonality that we use to begin our calls. So the prospect comes in if we're in person or we're headed into a store where we want to sell something, or they book a meeting on our calendar. Here's the tonality that I use. Again, zero excitement, but also it's not breaking rapport, talking down to them. The tonality I use is, hey, Chris, it's good to see you here. I noticed that you filled in your application. Looks good. It aligns with the clients that we help. Now, do you know what you're looking for specifically? So I'm being stoic. There's a weight to my tone, and it doesn't project neediness. The wrong way to do it, and what most people do wrong, is they're very excited. An example would be, hey, Chris, it's great to see you here. How are you? I saw you filled in your application, and it definitely aligns with the people that we're helping. So I'd love to see if we can help you today. Like, what can I do for you? Very upbeat, very needy, right? It shows them, and this is a big mistake because it shows them that I'm trying to be liked and I'm trying to get something out of them. I want to reverse that and be neutral. Hey, Chris, it's good to see you here. I went through your application, but I'd love to hear and dig in a little bit more to see if we can actually help. So what are you looking for specifically? So my tone, yes, it modulates in between sentences, but it's stoic. There's no hard emotion around it. It's calm confidence, I like to call it, that combo. Any questions around the stoic tonality as we're entering the call, as we're opening the conversation? I don't see any, so I'm moving forward. The second one would be the curious/skeptical tonality. And this is the tonality that we use when we're moving into hell awareness. And I want to get them to start thinking about their pain points and the problems that they have. The reason I'm using a curious and also skeptical tonality is because I want to come from a place of curiosity, but at the same time, I want them to defend their problems. So the conversation flows, and I'll ask them something like, "So Chris, how satisfied are you with your current process, though?" So I'm being curious, but also skeptical. I'm being skeptical and I'm not being challenging because I want them to open up, but open up in a way where I'm not necessarily setting fire to their situation, which is the mistake a lot of people are making. They're setting fire, they're trying to feed answers to the prospect, and they're trying to plant problems. Instead, I want my tone to slightly push them away with my tonality, not my words. And that's why I want to be skeptical, to get them to push back by defending their problems. So it's as if my tonality is telling them, well, that doesn't seem like too big of a deal, but I'm not telling them, I'm letting my tone, telling them through my skepticism with a question. So let me take you through the sequence of how I would ask a health awareness, for example, phase. I'm not going to go through what the prospect would say. I'm just going to tell you the questions. So I would ask something like, okay, Chris, so how satisfied are you with your current process that you're following? And how long has this been going on? Okay. Is there a specific reason that you went with that direction, just so I understand? Okay. And how often does that tend to happen, though? Has this been impacting you at all? Okay. So it sounds like time for a change, possibly. As you can see, I am also, I'm not just dropping the question. It's as if I'm coming up with the question as I go. That's why I'm introducing pauses in there. But at the end, there's always a big question mark that comes with skepticism. Like, is this affecting you at all? How is this impacting you? Okay, and if you were to sit down and think about it, what do you feel you're missing out on a monthly basis in terms of your sales? So 5 sales. And if you had the right objection handling strategies, how many more sales do you think you could be getting? What most people would do is, well, if you had the right objection handling strategies, how many more sales would you be getting? Excited, right? I'm pushing them away with my fake excitement, with my fake enthusiasm. So this is what I'll do in my problem awareness. Problem awareness, hell awareness, whatever you might want to call it. When I'm moving towards consequence and nightmare questions, I want to be more concerned about them. So when I'm challenging them, because when I'm asking a nightmare question or when I'm trying to get them to think about their problems, in essence, I'm challenging them. So when I ask someone a question that goes like, so what happens if you don't make a change, you stay exactly where you are in the next 2, 4, even 6 months? I'm challenging them to think about their situation. But if I have a challenging tone, that's where people get triggered. My tone needs to come from a place of empathy and concern. That's where I allow people to open up to me. So when I ask a nightmare question, my tone would be something like, have you considered the possible ramifications of you not making a change, though? Well, how do you think you can resolve that where you can make the appropriate changes so you don't have to suffer with X and Y and Z problem? And I'm only asking you this because I want you to win. See what I'm doing there. So it's a very concerned tone that shows them without me saying anything extra. It's the exact question that I would ask regardless. But it shows them that we are on the same we're on the same team here. The wrong way to do it would be, well, what happens if you don't make a change? You keep suffering with this, this, this. Don't you want to make a change? Very challenging, combative, and it's gonna trigger resistance. They're gonna get closed off, and I'm getting nothing more out of them. And the fourth tonality is the tonality of certainty. Richard, please.
You go with certainty first. Go ahead. Finish it up.
So when we're talking about certainty, it's a term I like to call detached certainty. So the tone of certainty I like to use when I'm presenting, because I want to transfer my certainty that my solution will get them to where they want to go, but without me pushing them into that direction. It's a slight shift, but doing it the wrong way can cost you the sale because you're too salesy. Doing it the right way can push a new wave of confidence into your prospect. So the tonality of certainty is something like, well, Chris, it sounds like this is right up our alley because you know how you mentioned that right now you have long sales cycles, you're getting a lot of objections, and you're not sure how to do the proper follow-up. Well, about 60% of our clients have the exact same problem. So if you're open to it, I can walk you through exactly how we help them so we can get you to X and Y and Z outcomes. Now, would that help you? So it's detached certainty. I don't want to be pushy and say something like, well, Chris, we help people just like you. Like we can 100% solve our problems. And if you give me a shot here, I'm going to get you to where you want to go. Do we have a deal? Yeah, okay, let me walk you through so we can get this done. This is pushy certainty. It's confidence, but we move towards being cocky and we're showing them that we're very attached to them buying. Instead, I want to have that detached certainty where, again, I'm calm, I'm confident, but at the same time, I'm leading them down the presentation and my presentation. Richard, what would you like to ask?
Well, I guess there's two questions because that's why I waited. But the second one I'll say first is what I'm seeing with you is the whole thing is just all confidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't, that's what I'm trying to figure out. It's just all confidence. Okay. So,
It's calm confidence. Yeah. Like I'm showing them that
I think the whole script is cool confidence with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just that I will modulate in terms of the concern, the skepticism, and more certainty around the presentation.
Yeah. And then I guess the second, well, I guess that's, then the second one is what's between skepticism and curious? It seems like it's very close, those two tones.
It's close, and you have to be more skeptical. We have discussed this before, where they don't see, they want to make it feel like their problems aren't that big of a deal.
I mean, skeptical, you could really go, what are you talking about? I mean, that's too skeptical.
That's too skeptical. So
right. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to give them faces and shit.
Yeah.
You want to stay
No,
with curious.
You're not gonna do hard, but it doesn't seem like
that
big of a deal. You're not gonna go overboard. But what I'll do is they'll say something like, yeah, I mean, I'm in pain once a month. Well, Chris, it doesn't sound like too big of a deal. Like, why are we here?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been working on that, this week.
Light skepticism, and I want to push them away when they want to make it seem like it's not too big of a deal. Because again, a lot of people, what they would do, yeah, I have pain like a couple of times a month.
Yeah.
Oh, a couple of times a month, that must be a pain. That's a nightmare. How are you dealing with it? what are they going to do? They're going to say, well, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. So I want to get ahead of that. And I want to say, well, Chris, like if you're only getting paid like twice a month, it's not that big of a deal, is it?
Yeah.
So I'm being skeptical because I want to get them to come to my direction, to get them to defend their own problem.
Yeah, because I was trying to maximize a lot of stuff, and then they're like, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
So
if I
you,
try to maximize it again, imagine like they're in pain and you're trying to create more pain in front of them.
yeah,
How would they react? Most people wouldn't accept that because they clearly see that by you're trying to create pain to make the sale. So you're creating that sense of neediness.
yeah, I got it. Yeah. But that's what I've been working on. It doesn't really seem like it's a big deal. And you go, can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like too big of a deal. Can you give me an example of what you're seeing exactly? Well, it is a big deal because when I try to go to bed, my back hurts. How is that impacting you though? Help me understand.
Yeah,
Now they can really open up because my tone is telling them, and I don't want anyone to misunderstood this. It's a light. I don't know why you're here. Essentially, my tone is telling them.
and then you put your hand on your, thinking this is good here, here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. When do people do this? When they're thinking, when they're in deep thought, right?
Chin,
And
like
when they're skeptical.
just curious.
So help me understand here, like,
Hmm.
how is that impacting you though?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna start. Yeah,
Yeah,
slow it up.
yeah.
This, look him
Slow.
in the eyes.
Yep,
I
yep,
told you I went to that acting class. He said just look him in the eyes when you're talking to the script. Don't read the script because I was bringing it in the room.
yeah,
He's like, you could bring it in the room, but look him in the eyes and tell him the whole script. Look him right in the eyes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because that's where the connection is created.
Yes. He threw it
And
away. He said, memorize this freaking thing. It's good script.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's good to know it by heart, especially if you're in person. Like it's very hard to get away with it by reading it from uh, the sheet. But the good thing is once you memorize it, it's just and it's practice like in your day to day. You can even in daily interactions, right, with your with a neighbor.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? Oh, we just bought a new car. How do you like it? How satisfied are you with it? Oh, we like it. What do you like about it? Da, da,
Yeah.
da. Okay, and was there a specific reason that you went with that car? Like you can use these questions with anyone, even to build rapport.
And then they said the more interested you are them, they grab onto that.
Oh yeah.
Don't be interesting, be interested.
Exactly. If you want to be interesting, be interested.
Yeah,
That's what people care about. Like people love talking about themselves.
right. So you could practice that talking to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
And the last tonality I wanted to cover is the more what I call fatherly tone. And the fatherly tone I like to use when I'm looking to shift beliefs or during objection handling. Again, a lot of people in objection handling, they like to use the hammer. They slam them down. What happens if you don't make a change? You're gonna suffer. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. Too much. And that's where the prospect shuts down. They give you a think about it objection and they disappear. When I use the fatherly tone, it's something like this. So let's say they're giving me, it's a lot of money. And I know that they have the money, right? Here's what I'll do. Yeah, that's not a problem, Joel. Like, besides the money, if you did have the funding, would you move forward with the program? Yes. Why would you do it though? Because of this, because of this. Okay, may I share a concern with you? Sure. Okay, which is more risky? Is it more risky for you to do nothing at all? Problem stays exactly the same. And you keep having this and that and that? Or is it more risky to invest with us, come into the team so we can fix X and Y and Z and capture all of those sales that you're leaving on the table? So the fatherly tone, as you saw from the example, it's a light, challenging tone, but there's some warmth to it. Because I'm looking to shift that belief, and I want to show them that this challenge is coming from a place of care. My intent, I want my intent to be communicated with my tonality. That's the message that I'm trying to pass through with the fatherly tone. May I share a concern? Or can I give you a different perspective here? Yeah. Well, what happens if you don't make a change? You stay exactly where you are, having this and this and this problem. Because I'll tell you, I'm perfectly fine with you not coming up with the money. But I want you to win. So how are you going to generate more leads if you don't have the right skills? So there is a warm tone. I'm not slapping them around. I want to communicate and challenge them, but I want that warm undertone to be communicated to show them that I'm on their side. Again, this is key because I'm showing them that we're not fighting each other here. We're fighting a problem together. We're trying to figure things out. It's collaborative. Any questions about the fatherly tone and the tonalities overall we use to deploy? To make more sales, change beliefs, and communicate our message. Doesn't seem like we have any questions. Do you have any doubtful points for me with your sales or your progress overall? Anything that I can help with since I'm here?
Just
Otherwise,
on the quality tone, is that just at the end, or can you
yeah.
do it?
Yeah, it's for objection handling primarily, and when I'm looking to challenge them. So if I ask them, for example, during heaven awareness, if I ask them, have you seen any other kairos before, or what have you been doing to fix your problem? No, I haven't. Oh, how come? Well, I don't believe in kairos. Oh, may I ask, where's that coming from?
Yeah,
I think it's a scam. They don't know what they're doing. May I share a thought with you? Yes. Have you found that this belief that you have, where a medical practitioner who has a degree and who have probably seen hundreds, if not thousands of patients, have you found that thinking that these people are a scam keep you exactly where you are, being in pain after 3 months?
yeah,
And I'm only saying that because I want you to get rid of the pain.
yeah,
Well, how are you going to get rid of your pain if you don't want to receive treatment? So again, it's not how are you going to fix your pain if you don't receive treatment? Combative.
yeah. And then what about the heaven? So let's pretend you come in, we give you some adjustments, we give you some massage, I give you some
Yeah.
exercises, and you're able to sleep better. How would that make you feel? Well, that's your uptone though. You say that's an upbeat, real upbeat with that.
Yeah. This is the
That's the
only
heaven,
this is the only um
heaven.
yeah, this is the only position the word escapes me. This is the only spot in the call and these questions that you can use a more upbeat tone
Only one.
if they're being too undertone. Like if they seem very, bored, which they shouldn't be, if we take them through the process the right way. But this is how I bring them up. Okay, so let's pretend we're able to get the pain away so it doesn't shoot down your shoulder, headache goes away. How does it feel? Again, It's not, how does it feel? It's, how does it feel? It's curious confidence, but I can be a little bit more upbeat if I want to be more advanced, just to pick them up a little bit.
Now, when they say, well, that would be great, or do you want to stay in heaven a little bit more with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So if they say that would be great,
Yeah.
oh, how would life be different though? You being able to get rid of all the pain.
Mhm.
How would life be different than maybe it is today with all the pain?
Yeah. So push your heaven a little bit more.
I need to get visual. Like the more specific I can get, the more powerful it is. Like my goal with the pain or with the heaven or with any part
Hell.
of the sales conversation is if with their words they can paint a movie in their minds,
Yeah.
I'm golden because it's as if I'm helping them live that scenario.
So then the next question. So how close are you now, Chris, of getting out of pain and having headaches if you're doing nothing? How close are you now? So that should go back to curious.
That's
How
curious
close are you
skeptical.
now to being out of pain without these treatments?
That's curious skeptical. So that's where I want to say, okay, so you want to be pain free in the next 60 days. May I ask, how close are you to being pain free just with uh, painkillers and what you're doing right now today?
Yeah. So then you go back to skeptical.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Because I
So
only go confident and certain in the presentation, because that's where I need to inject certainty. Like, I've heard this before, I've been there, I got the t-shirt, here's how I will fix you.
yeah. Okay, good.
Like, there is no room for uh, doubts or confusion during the presentation. It's confident delivery. Here's what you're gonna do with you. First step is this, second step is this, third step is this. In 60 to 90 days, the pain should go away, you would have mobility, and you will be able to play basketball again. Do you feel what I just took you through will get you to where you want to go? Be pain-free and so confident. I'm keeping it short to the point, but I'm pointing also the way. I'm unpacking the plan.
Right. And then, you say, we should change that. When you say, well, how close are you now becoming pain free? Well, I'm not close at all. So let's change that. Let's see if we could
Oh,
change
I'm
that.
not close. Oh, I'm not close at all. If they say, oh, I'm not close at all. Oh, how so? Why do you feel you're not close? Well, because the meds stopped working or I keep having to pop pills. Okay, so time for a change possibly.
Yeah. And then you go right in and then you go right into my example. Well, it sounds
Yep,
like you have this, you have this. Let's give you an example. Then,
yep.
okay. So you just got to really memorize it and look them in the eyes too. That's what,
Yeah, yeah, it's key. It's key. So you can create the connection, have rapport throughout the call, and make sure that they get it as well and they're not disengaged.
right. Because you're not looking over here reading, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're like right in the camera, even on a Zoom.
yeah, yeah. Because right now, as we speak, if I have my phone here and I'm like, oh yes, yeah, yeah, sure, Richard, sure. You're
Yeah.
like, what is this guy about?
Yeah. Mhm. Well, I'm just talking to you and reading your script.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
you know what I'm talking about when you're
It's you
reading.
and me in the script. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you got to memorize that thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, thank you. I
Sweet.
don't want to take all
Absolutely.
your time up.
No, 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 it's all good. We are me, Joel, and I just go live in other platforms. Cool. Anything else, gents, before we wrap up here with our sales game or anything? I don't think we do.
Just appreciate your help.
100% always. Every Sunday, I'll be here. Don't you worry. Cool. Good to see you. Keep me updated with your progress. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.